Welcome, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Leftover Pizza Podcast. We're continuing our annual Halloween recap show here for 2024. Isn't that right, Derek?
Yes, a bit of a post-mortem look at the Halloween season, as it were, for this year. Yeah. This is the marketing nerd in me, because I don't think that writing post-mortem in the title, the proper podcast title, is going to reach enough people. But that's really what I want to call these episodes, are our Halloween post-mortems. But you're going to see it in your feeds, and it's going to say like 2024 Halloween recap. I think that's because that's what's going to work. That's what's going to reach you people. But anyways,
Hopefully. We're hoping that it reaches you people, whether you're sitting at home handing out to trick-or-treaters, or if you're making little turkey hand guys and whatever, we're hoping at one point or another you're listening to this.
Yeah, or if you're grimy, you are setting fire to all of the Halloween decorations in your house and throwing up your Christmas decorations right now.
The luxury, or the whatever the opposite of a luxury is, of having that type of girlfriend, because they're coming down. A curse? Is it?
A Christmas curse.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it.
No, I don't either. If I'm being honest with you, I'm kind of ready to jump into the next thing.
I'm always ready.
A little impressionable now. You're dare I say it, Grimey? You're rubbing.
Am I rubbing off on you? Yeah. Edged you into it? Is that right?
Yeah. You're edging me right into the Christmas season. But
that's good.
Before we get into all that, I do suppose we should kind of take a look at what this very, very long Halloween season had in store for us.
Very, very long. Oh my goodness. We've kind of narrowed it down to a couple of categories here. Movies, games, fast food, food and drink, maybe some decor.
And don't forget events and places, because Derek did a lot of traveling around and visiting and popping in. I did a lot of socializing this year, which is kind of out of the norm for me. There's some of that.
You came out of your shell. That's good, man. That's good.
All right. I think I want to, before we progress and we start on our first topic, I want to ask at the top of the show, and then I want to ask again at the end of the show, because I feel like we're going to have the same answer both times, but I want to see how it kind of changes. How were your overall thoughts and feelings about the 2024 Halloween season?
Crazy hectic. And I mean, to prep for this, I listened to last year's recap, and I'm just kind of blown away with how much crazier it was compared to last year's.
Yeah, and I didn't re-listen to last year, so I can't remember exactly how I felt at the time. But I'm going to assume, just based off of memory, that maybe it was a good year, but thinking back on it, it definitely seemed like it was a quieter year compared to the previous two before that. Because it felt like we got hit with a lot of fun stuff in 2021 and 2022, and comparing 2023 to 2024, it feels like last year was a bit more subdued compared to at least what I thought was an absolutely, like you're saying, crazy, busy, and just overall, like, really good Halloween season, I think.
Oh, dude, yes, solid. Completely solid. At the end of all this, I think we'll be saying the same exact thing. So let's get into it. Let's start at the top here with movies and games. I know that you, because you're always watching all kinds of stuff, and you sent me your list already, so I'm going to start this one off, because my list is not near as long as yours, and I will start off with the ones that I know you didn't watch. I watched one that I've been waiting to watch for a little while now, and that's Hack-O-Lantern. We talked a little bit about that on the Monster Bash Halloween special, which was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say that it's going to be an every year watch, but it was at least fun in the moment. I had a lot of fun with that one. Finally watched Monster Squad the whole way through.
You did?
Yeah, I sat and I paid attention, did not look at my phone once, so that was fun.
How did you feel? Just quickly. I know there's so much here, like we can't go through individual reviews, but like a couple sentences. What were your actual thoughts on Monster Squad? I have to know.
The first time I watched it, I really didn't get a chance to pay attention, and I almost didn't really understand the hype behind it because I wasn't paying attention. I would like sneak up and, okay, yeah, that was cool. That was all right, but It's completely what everyone's saying about it is it's just that good. I love the monsters. I love that there's just so much spotlight on them. I haven't figured out which one's my favorite. I do love that Frankenstein seems to be like their pal for the first half of the movie. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Basically my buddy Frankenstein
Yeah.
is what that would be. Yeah. All right. So, what off the top of your head, give me like your favorite moment. It can be anything, a joke, a monster. I don't care. Just give me one thing.
Okay, I got the perfect one. So, it's pretty close to the beginning of the film. The kid wants to go see the movie, but he's not able to go see the movie with his dad right away, and he's sitting out there on the
Okay.
top of his roof, kind of looking at his drive-in theater with the binoculars, and the dad comes
Yep.
out and shares some Burger King with him. I thought that was excellent. It's super cool. I know it's not like the moment everybody wants to hear, but like, yeah, I thought that was a pretty awesome moment.
No, that's a great pick because growing up, that scene always stuck out to me, and I watched this movie a lot as a kid,
Yeah.
and I always wished that I had that same setup.
Oh,
That
fuck yeah,
you
dude.
could just go sit out on your roof. That my parents would let me on the roof,
Yeah.
but like that, you could sit out on your roof. Your dad's gonna bring you some burgers, and you can like sit there and watch movies for free at the drive-in across the street. It's iconic. It's
Dude,
just so cool.
absolutely. When I was a kid, I did an awful lot of roof sitting. The only thing that would make it better is a drive-in theater like half a mile down the road where I could tune in and watch for free.
So cool. Can I tell you my favorite part really quickly? Because
Yeah.
I think that it's got to be one of your favorite parts. If you caught it, you
Mm.
just might not be remembering it. It's when the two boys in the beginning of the movie get called into the principal's
Oh.
office, and the principal is trying to be like the cool
The
principal.
cool
Like,
principal? Yeah.
he's scolding them a little bit, but he's also trying to relate to them and get them interested in school. And he's talking about, yeah, I get it. You think monsters are cool. And my favorite line in that whole movie, one of my favorite lines ever, goes, well, I think science is cool. I dig it, man.
That's it.
my friend and I, when we were roommates in college, I showed it to him for the first time, and he got a lot out of that line. So that kind of became our in line and our in joke. We would look at each other across the room, give ourselves these stupid little thumbs up, and go, "I dig it, man."
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
all right, I'm so happy that you got to watch this and that you actually enjoyed it. That makes me feel good.
I did. Yeah. While Hack-O-Lantern won't be a yearly watch, I can see that Monster Squad will be.
Definitely.
One other movie that I did get to see, I know everybody's up in arms about Terrifier 3. I did not get to watch that, but I did get to finally watch Terrifier 2. I have the VHS. I bought it at Walmart from, whenever they did that little random horror thing that they did a few months back. I noticed that they're doing that again now for the Halloween season. But anyways, I did not watch the VHS version. I just simply watched it online somewhere. I don't remember where, but finally caught it. I thought it was good. I feel like everybody's already, they already feel the way they do. Either you love it or you hate it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. A little slow. I think what helps it, I know that it's a gore fest and stuff, but I love the way that it doesn't look so real. Like, I don't feel like I'm watching Saw. I feel like I'm watching a crazy B horror film that just upped the gore a ton.
Exactly. It's an over-the-top schlock fest. And
Yeah.
while it's gross and disgusting, it's lit in a way that I think it's more akin to like a really gory episode of Tales from the Crypt.
That's
rather
exactly
than
it.
Something, like what everybody used to love to call torture porn.
Yeah.
So more like that instead of, like you mentioned, Saw or a movie like Hostel or God forbid fucking Human Centipede. It doesn't really have that gritty feeling to me that makes me feel like I need to go take a shower. Like, it's gross, but it's gross in a fun way.
Yeah, totally.
I've got my issues with the pacing. I don't know. The whole series doesn't entirely work for me, but I don't hate it either. Like, they're just, to me, they're there. Like, I'm really happy that a lot of people enjoy them and get a lot out of them. And on the flip side, I don't necessarily understand the people who like outright hate them and think that they're the worst things that have ever been created. Because it's like, I've seen a lot worse than the
for
Terrifier
sure.
movies. I've seen some real crap. So it's not that either. It's just they are. You know, I've seen them all at this point, and I'll probably see more that come out, if only because with this newest one, it was the first one I got a chance to actually catch in a theater. It was a fun theater experience. Everybody there was happy to be there and really into the whole movie. And I think that's something that we don't see terribly often with movies, in general,
Right.
that
Yeah.
people are there and are into it. So it's got that part too, where it really does feel like you're kind of in the thick of like a Nightmare on Elm Street or like a Friday the 13th, like any of these big horror franchises from the past. It feels like there's that support and that like excitement to be there, like it might have been 30 years ago. So that's the coolest part about those, I think.
Did you enjoy it?
It was, to me, more of the same. Like, if you've seen the first two Terrifier movies, you're getting more of that with Terrifier 3.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it was definitely my favorite of the three that have come out.
Okay.
So you can tell that they're definitely honing their craft a little bit. I think I liked the story a bit more than I did in the previous two. And the thing that really did push it over the top was just all of the Christmas imagery. I'm just a sucker for that. And what they did really well with this is not only the Christmas imagery, but they used certain lenses where it really had that very soft, glowing effect.
Oh, nice.
So all of the Christmas lights, you'll think back to, like, if you watch A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
The look that you see there, with all of the lights and the blooming effect around them.
A very vintage look to it, huh?
Yeah, very warm and soft, and contrast that with, spoiler alert, art killing. Well, I won't say anything. Art killing a lot of people.
Right.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen it yet, but art killing a lot of people. It's a nice contrast. So
Yeah.
I did like it for that more than I think I've liked the first two. It had that edge. So yeah, it was good. It was enjoyable. If you like the Terrifier movies, then you're really gonna like Terrifier 3, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I was kind of bummed I didn't get to see it in movie theater. It was just before I realized it was too late, and then they were already gone from both of the movie theaters in my area. On one hand, I'm upset, and the other hand, I assume, like we talked about off air, that they did this, released it now, so that the digital version or whatever can be up and on streaming services during the actual holiday season. So I will absolutely catch it around there, and maybe it'll just be a better way to view it during the actual holiday season. So, not necessarily a lose-lose.
Oh yeah, not a lose. I think that, you could put on the fireplace, you could, pop yourself into a sweater, grab some Christmas cookies, and watch this, one slow night early on in the Christmas season, if it's out in time for that. And I think that might actually even elevate it, the whole experience a bit more than even seeing it in the theater, because that was a great experience. But I feel like this is one of those movies that will benefit from you watching it at home,
Yeah,
with all of your Christmas decor up.
So while we're on the subject of movies we saw in theater, the only other one I have here, Beetlejuice 2, or Beetlejuice. I was pretty into it, man. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I do have maybe one or two small gripes about it, but other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid sequel. I really didn't expect it to do as well as it did. I feel like when they touch sequels like this, they start going into these things after, 30-ish years or longer. I feel like the magic has just long gone, and I don't feel like that after watching this. I feel like they did a really, really good job. It's a good, solid second movie.
Oh, absolutely. I walked away like loving this movie, and now that I've had some time away from it, and I've heard other people's criticisms, I sort of understand the criticisms a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, like, it felt like there was a lot going on plot-wise, like a lot of subplots.
Yeah, there was.
And probably more than we actually needed. But I do think that what we got there was great. Like, the only thing that I would say needs to be changed is there needed to be more of it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, they should have gotten rid of those subplots. It's like, no, they should have just put more into that movie. I would watch more of that movie because I was really enjoying everything. The acting was great. The sets and the effects were incredible. Even like things were addressed that were so like smartly thought out. Um, right down to Lydia and Delia. Lydia's dad, Delia's husband. Obviously, there's some issues with
Oh
the
yeah.
original actor. We can't get him back in, and it could have been so easy to just kill off that character and that's it. Like, we're done. But the way that they dealt with his death in a movie that is all about death in the afterlife was so smart.
It was.
I loved how he still got to be the character, still got to be a part of this movie without having to get somebody back who should not be back.
Yeah.
For lack of going into too much detail there. But it was really smart. They really thought a lot of things out. I mean, I was a little nervous. I think I had mentioned this, and I think all of us were a little nervous going into this. But what I was most nervous about was Keaton. Like, the age might have caught up with him or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's certainly a concern. I mean, even going in, I didn't watch the Batman film or the Flash film that he was in, and he reprised his role as Batman. But even that, I was like, man, I don't know. Does he got this? Is it going to be all right? I'll admit there is times on the screen where you could tell age may have caught up with him a little bit. He's not as energetic as he was in the first one.
I think the level of energy that he brought was better than I could have hoped for.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's good enough for me. Like, realistically, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit extra simply because it's been 40 years since the first movie. Not everything is going to be the same. Things are going to be different. The actors a little bit older. There's some newer sensibilities, director, writer, the way that we shoot movies. But all of that, taking all of that into account, I think it was as good as it possibly could be. Like,
yeah, I think you're right.
I've heard people say that they outright hated it, and I don't understand that. I've seen some legacy sequels that are truly awful, pandering crap, and to me, this wasn't that. But
No, not at all.
I'm always open to hear people's opinions and why they think that Beetlejuice might have been terrible. Because honestly, I find it fascinating that people do think that this might not have been a great sequel. So if you want, join the Facebook group and let's get into it.
Let's get into it for sure. All right, so that's all of my movies. Why don't you hit us with a couple either new to you this year or new this year, period?
Yeah, I'm going to go quick, rapid fire. You're going to be thinking to yourself, damn, why does he have so many new movies?
You sent me your list, and I was like, holy shit. But I was like, this is Derek, though. This is what he does. He watches films. I mean, a lot of them. I will never be able to keep up with it, but...
It is, but I think I went extra hard this year, both out of a desire to want to see new things so that I could talk about new things. But also, you might have noticed, and I'm sure people out there listening who have been following along are probably wondering, did Derek go down to Florida and do Halloween Horror Nights this year? And no, Derek did not. So Derek had a lot of extra time. To go to the movies or to sit at home and really make an effort to see some new stuff. So I'll start with the new to me watches instead of the absolutely new watches. I watched last year's movie Dark Harvest pretty on in the Halloween season. This was released, I think, on Amazon or by Amazon or a combination of both last year. I mentioned it briefly in the Facebook group, but basically it's kind of, it felt to me kind of like an unofficial Fear Street movie. That's the best way I can describe it. Long story short, every year at Halloween, there's a pumpkin entity, think kind of like Pumpkinhead or something along those lines, that comes to life, and it's up to the young boys and girls in the town to go out and hunt it and kill it. I won't spoil the twist at the end, but there's a promise on the line that the person who's responsible for hunting and killing the Pumpkin Man gets a check for, this is in the 1950s, I want to say for like $10,000 or something like that, and then they get a brand new sports car, and they get to go off and start their life after high school. I liked it. If I have to give it a rating out of 10, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Best movie I've seen this year? No. But I could recommend it, and I'd say if you're looking for something new and you like stuff like Fear Street, Are You Afraid of the Dark, then you might like this.
Nice. Oh, and if anyone's wondering why there's like barely any input from me, it's because I haven't seen any of these films. So just be aware that all of my and yeses are in full spirit.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to everybody listening right now, because it's just going to be me going for the next about 15 minutes. So sorry. But anyways, the next one that was new to me, but again, not new. It was from 2019. It was called Haunt. I heard a lot of people talking this up recently, and it was a movie that I had put off for a long time. I think I remember that maybe Eli Roth, I think it was Eli Roth, was a producer on this or attached in some way, trying to get it pushed to more people. So out of curiosity, seeing a lot of people say, hey, this is a hidden gem, I decided to check it out for myself. The whole premise is it's a haunted house, a haunt on Halloween night, and this group of young adults ends up going, and kind of predictably, it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, and they haven't seen this haunt before, but they decide to go inside, and lo and behold, everybody in the haunt is actually a killer, and they're trying to kill the group of kids.
Oh, nice.
So, haunt turned reality, basically. Honestly, here's my notes, because this is from a couple months back. This is what I thought at the time. I wrote, bored me to sleep, literally. Like, I actually kind of fell asleep a little bit and had to rewind and finish it the second night. Don't understand the praise I've been seeing for it. Felt like a cheap imitation of The Strangers, but with a lack of motivation. So what I mean by that is there's killers in this haunt, but why? Why are they trying to kill these kids?
So it's kind of psychological. Whoever made this obviously wanted it to be left up for whoever's watching it to kind of guess what they were wanting out of it, I suppose. But yeah, I could see where might not feel too enthusiastic about it, like.
For me, I can't really recommend it. If you do like this one, I'm sorry. It just didn't really work for me. I guess I'd go probably like 4.5 out of 10 on that one. Not for me. Wouldn't watch it again. I watched Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man for what I assume is the first time. I might have seen this when I was a kid. I don't remember. And I'm leaning towards I probably haven't seen it, because, Grimey, I'm going to ask you this right now. I always watch Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That's a classic.
Absolute classic.
Top tier, A+. What would you assume that Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, like, how would that be? You think it would be probably somewhere along the same lines of Meet Frankenstein, right?
Sure, yeah. Is it not?
What if I told you that it's, by and large, a boxing movie?
So, like, is it Rocky and they're, like, beating the shit out of a cow carcass in the freezer? Like, what do you mean?
Not to get too into the weeds, but Abbott and Costello have just graduated from detective school and are looking for their first case when a man comes in the middle of the night as they're listening to the police radio, and it ends up being a man seeking their help who is under suspicion of murder, that he's killed somebody.
Okay.
Turns out he didn't actually kill somebody, and we find out how he was being pinned for this later on in the movie. But to escape the people who are after him and the proper authorities, this man seeking Abbott and Costello's help ingests an invisible serum and becomes the Invisible Man. So that's how we get the Invisible Man. And we find out eventually that he was a boxer. And Costello ends up playing the part of a boxer, trying to get more information to solve this crime. So the Invisible Man, who's actually a boxer, is doing all the fighting while Costello is fake fighting. And so he gets in matches and he's training and everything. And so that's how they worked the whole boxing angle
Oh
and
my
Invisible
God.
Man together. It's just one of those things that I wasn't expecting it, and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I realized, like, oh my God, this monster movie is going to be a boxing movie. It wasn't a bad thing. It was really enjoyable, but man, the shock on my face when I realized that was unbelievable.
That's awesome. I wasn't even aware that there was a Abbott and Costello meets the Invisible Man, but great. Is there more?
Yeah, there's Meet the Mummy and Meet the Killer Boris Karloff.
The kill.
And
The
there's
fuck?
another one that I think after we're done here, I'm going to go pop on. I don't know if it's truly horror or not, but it's called Hold That Ghost, and it comes highly recommended. So that's going to be the next watch
Next
on my
foray.
Halloween watch list with a few days left here until the big day.
Nice.
So I think that was all the new to me's, proper new movies. So I'll start. One of the ones that I watched earliest in the season was The First Omen. And I think that I can say with certainty that this is my favorite Omen movie. I just really, really liked everything about it. It was actually creepy and scary in a way that most horror movies aren't to me now as an adult who likes horror movies. This one was actually fairly unsettling. A lot of demon stuff, a lot of really creepy imagery, satanic imagery, and it's one of those prequel, requel, sequel, however you want to call it. It is a prequel, but that it actually does properly take place before the first original movie from the 70s, and it bleeds beautifully right into the beginning of that movie at the end of The First Omen. I do come recommending The First Omen. I thought it was very good, and I will probably watch that again at least a few times. Then let's hop into this one. I believe was a Shudder exclusive. I'm having trouble remembering what came where. But this movie was called Destroy All Neighbors, and I think it was a springtime release as well, maybe early summer. I'm just getting around to watching it, as of 2 months ago. I really enjoyed this one too. So it's the whole premise is a guy is living with his girlfriend in a crappy little apartment. And basically the guy has a passion project. He loves progressive metal and progressive rock, prog rock. And he works as a music producer professionally at a shitty little studio, but he has a personal project that he just doesn't make the time to finish. He wants to make like the perfect prog rock album. And he spent years working on this. And it all kind of comes to a head because he hasn't finished it. But everything gets exacerbated because a new neighbor moves in next door, played by Alex Winter, who is in heavy, full makeup as this gross, disgusting guy named Vlad.
That's awesome.
And our main protagonist ends up inadvertently killing Vlad. Only problem is that Vlad doesn't stay dead. So this is like a true horror comedy, but it really leans more into the comedy than horror. It really does remind me of something like, I don't know, a Freaked or even a Bill and Ted, where there's just a lot of practical effects and monster costumes. It's a shame that this didn't come out in theaters and that it only got, a streaming release. Because I feel like not a lot of people know about it. Like, did you ever hear about this?
I don't remember which streaming platform I was on the other day, but I definitely saw this movie on it. Almost watched it. And then last minute, Michaela was like, nah, I'm going to watch Gilmore Girls. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed then. So yeah, maybe tonight after this, I might actually put that on real quick just to see what it's all about.
It's really fun. It's really, really fun.
It sounds fun.
I really loved it. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Here is my next pick. The night that I went to go see Beetlejuice, I was walking back to my car and the poster for this movie stopped me dead in my tracks. It was just an all-white poster with bold black text on it and a neon green vial that said "The Substance," and all I could think was, "Man, that looks like Reanimator. What's this all about?" And in the span of 2 weeks, I didn't know that it existed. I saw that poster. I started seeing some other people posting about it, saying this is the craziest movie that I've seen in years. And then I immediately booked my tickets as soon as I could. I went by myself on a Sunday afternoon. It's a long movie. I think it was like 2.5 hours. It's a really, really great satire about Hollywood and just how we as a society currently and have always treated celebrities as if they're nothing more than just their looks. Like that they can't possibly offer anything other than being hot and being young. You know, it's a commentary about getting old and being undesirable. It's like, it's about, women empowerment as well. It's like, here was this woman who was on top of the world, played by Demi Moore, who is just slowly losing her empire only because she's getting older. And we have a Dennis Quaid character who is just fucking vile and disgusting. It was really great, like the first 2 hours, and they could have ended it after the first 2 hours, and it would have still been a great movie that I would have recommended to people. In the last 20 minutes, it goes into the most insane body horror I've personally ever seen. And it just keeps going. It's disgusting. It's Looney Tunes, like literally like a cartoon come to life. When it was over, I turned around because the two guys behind me were chuckling like crazy. And I looked at them and I said, "Holy shit," right? And the only response I got from one of the guys was, "I was way too high for that."
Well, it sounds like it worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely got a full experience that day. So yeah, The Substance, big time recommend. And I'm just going to absolutely breeze through these last three. I don't have a ton to say about it. I saw Terrifier 3 in the theater. I've kind of already said everything I need to about that when we talked Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Salem's Lot, the new Salem's Lot adaptation that finally got dumped to Max. I thought it was actually, for what was there, pretty well done. It looked nice. The pace was really brisk and quick. The problem is that it was only 2 hours long. I've heard rumblings that they cut at least an hour out of this movie. So there's a lot of studio meddling here, and you could kind of feel it. I don't know if I can really recommend it because it does feel like it's missing so much. And finally, I'll end with this one. It's, I think, the one that I've watched most recently. It's called Mr. Crockett. This movie was interesting. It was a little Candyman-esque. It had like a little bit of Elm Street going on. A whole quick premise is that Mr. Crockett was an old children's TV host, kind of in the style of maybe Mr. Rogers or Pee-wee or something along those lines. But he is basically like Freddy Krueger. He's undead. He's basically living in hell. And this magic VHS tape kind of shows up at kids' houses. And when they pop in the tape, they become kind of obsessed with him and his show. And it kind of turns the TV into a portal where he can show up in real life and then kidnap kids and bring them back to his children's show set, which we find out later is in hell. So it was pretty good. It's worth a watch. It's nothing that's going to blow your mind. And at times it definitely has that streaming cheap feel about it where it kind of almost feels like a Lifetime movie at points where it's like, okay, like I can see why this is on Hulu and it didn't come to a theater or something. But
Right.
Certainly a worse way to spend an evening. So, if you're browsing and you have any curiosity, it's worth checking out.
So that was the movies portion. How about the games portion here? The only one that I really got on my list, and it's not new by any means, but it's new to me, And that is Luigi's Mansion 3. I finally opened it up. I got this last Christmas, and it's been sitting in my my nightstand ever since. It still had the wrapping on it. I just cracked it open like 2 nights ago, and I'm not very far in it by any means, but what I have played so far is pretty fun. It's not Halloween-y or anything like that, but it feels really right for this season. I could see me never playing it ever again until like Halloween again. So
that's kind of the problem that I have with Luigi's Mansion, is that I associate it so much with being in the Halloween season. It's too bad because they're enjoyable. I just need to get myself out of that line of thinking. But yeah, 3 was a great one.
Yeah, I didn't play very much video game stuff at all this season. Not near as much as I wanted to. I usually dive into some Zombies Ate My Neighbors like I always do. Arkham Knight, I haven't touched that game in like 2 Halloween seasons. So yeah, Luigi's Mansion was the only one I really got into. How about you? What did you get into this time?
The Retro Realms series was released just about a week or so ago. And this is put out by Way Forward, where you've probably heard of them in their sort of cult hit games, the Shantae games.
Yeah.
Have you heard of those?
I have, yeah.
So they're really big on platforming and making platforming, style games. So with Retro Realms, they released a Halloween game, as in Michael Myers, and they also released an Evil Dead game. So these are just like 16-bit inspired platformers. Clearly they're not 16-bit. There's a lot more animation and graphics and everything, more than you could ever jam on a Super Nintendo cartridge or on a Genesis cartridge, but it's in that style. I personally pick up the Halloween game because that's where my interest, decided to lie this year. You could buy both, but there was no discount to buy both together. They were $25 a piece or $50 for both. And I was like, well, we'll start with one, see how I like it. And then if I beat this and I'm interested, we'll hop into the other one at some other point. It's fun. I like it. It's tough. So it's definitely got that, classic 16-bit game thing going on where they're kind of trying to kick your ass at certain points, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, they kind of weave this whole story about there's a demon and you're acting on his behalf. So he wants you to help him like take over the world, blah, 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 like basically bring hell to earth. So you're just on a mission to kill anybody and everybody and, collect pieces of whatever the hell it was. I don't know, a scroll or something to help him make that come true. But in the meantime, you end up collecting Judith Myers' headstone, and you see the Halloween pumpkin as a power-up. So that's all pretty cool.
That's
and
cool.
it's all tied in. Like
service.
you're breaking out of his sanitarium in the first couple of levels, and then you're going through the garage, because he shows up to the garage and he ends up killing people and stealing his infamous jumpsuit. So they are taking, ideas from the original movie and like playing with them and giving you, levels based on that and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Not mind blowing, but it scratches an itch for sure. And yeah, if you're into retro gaming at all, you could definitely do worse with $25. I would say it's probably.
Oh, that's it. $25.
Yeah,
that ain't bad at all.
So if you have any curiosity, it might be worth picking up. Or hey, Black Friday's coming up. Maybe it'll be on sale on Nintendo's eShop too.
All right, so why don't we jump into the food really quick here? And I'd love to start with the fast food just because we had a crazy year for fast food. Quickly going down the line here, Wendy's is getting their hands into the Halloween game here. They did their Boo Books toys. Frightful Frosties is what they were. So the Frosties, they have these little anthropomorphic Frosties. They're all like Dracula. There's a couple other ones. There was a witch. Very, very cool little toys that they included. And then they actually did another little Happy Meal. It was like a bigger kids meal kind of thing. Just like last week to kind of wrap it up where it was separate from the other one. But a separate character, I don't remember his name, but he was just like a little frosty dude and he glows in the dark and he has a skeleton. He's like all black and has a skeleton outline on his costume.
Okay.
Really, really cool. I thought that was fun. Then we have Burger King, who did the Addams Family menu, kind of out of left field, but also this is kind of what Burger King does, I feel like. And this is really kind of how Addams Family stuff has been this year. We had a lot of other things that came out, and I still don't really know why, because there's nothing really Addams Family coming out right now.
So I will just jump in quickly, because did you get this? You didn't
No,
get
I
this?
did not, man.
I have to say, this was the only meal that I actually decided to go out and get. Not only because I wanted to take pictures of it, but because I wanted to know what Gomez's churro fries tasted like. I had to know.
That
love
seemed
churros.
like the big draw to me, especially.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the Wednesday Whopper is great, but they could have easily just put out a purple Whopper and named it, I don't know, the Purple People Eater Whopper. Like, it didn't have to have that tie. Things rings, fun, but it's literally just onion rings in a new sleeve. The Morticia shake, I didn't get. A lot of people were telling me it was really good, but I couldn't justify drinking a shake, eating a Whopper, eating onion rings, and eating churro fries all in one night. I just couldn't do it. So I'll take your word for it that it was good. But yeah, the main star of the show, as far as I'm concerned, in that meal were Gomez's churro fries. Those need to be a regular item. I don't care how they have to swing it. And you know what? If they can't even, justify keeping it on the everyday menu, at least find ways like Taco Bell does with nacho fries to bring them back fairly regularly. Do it with promos, or just say, hey, they're back again for a limited time, whatever. Those things were fantastic. And I have to say, in a year where we made up our own fast food meals and one of your creations were donut fries, it felt like magic finding out that churro fries were a thing just a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
It felt like you wished something into existence.
Dude, it was so weird because we just did the episode, dropped it, and then you were like, did you see the Burger King thing yet? There's fries, and they're fucking churro fries that come with chocolate dipping sauce. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, okay.
What are the odds of that? All of these years, that's never been made. In the year that you're like, donut fries. Yeah. They're like, okay, well, not donut fries, but how about pretty damn fries? Close.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that.
Addams Family, like you said, felt out of left field because there hasn't been an Addams Family movie in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're getting a sequel, as far as I know, anytime soon. But it all paid off for those damn churro fries. So that, to me, takes the win for fast food this season. But I know that there's a couple more meals to talk about, so I'll let you hop into those now.
Okay, so before I say which one I think wins, I'll just rattle the last 3 or 4 here off really quick. So we got the McDonald's Monster Pails. I grew to like the designs a little bit more towards the end here, and I think I liked them more than what a lot of other people did in the beginning and up front. I think it's a good continuation, if anything. Still, the people complaining about no lids, blah, blah, blah. Listen, it's fine. At least they're doing something. They could be doing absolutely nothing. Let's just get past that, man.
I think the biggest win on those McDonald's buckets, I was not with it up until about a week ago when I ended up seeing that they put out a commercial for those buckets.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it on Twitter. I believe it was Tanuki Joe. If anybody is on Twitter or X and follows him, that's who ended up posting it. So I didn't even see it from a proper McDonald's account. But it was a stop motion Halloween commercial, and the characters on the buckets make an appearance in that commercial. And when you see them in the flesh, quote unquote, they really feel more like the Fry Guys almost.
Yeah, they do.
And that's what helped me appreciate them and these buckets more than I did for basically the whole entire Halloween season. So part of me wishes they had leaned a little bit more into it and maybe even made some like toys of them to go in the buckets with it. Like that might have helped carry it a little bit further for a lot more people. But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, look up that commercial. If you're on the fence or don't like these buckets, it might help you appreciate them a little bit more than you currently do. That's all I'll say. Yeah,
I can agree with that. And it's weird that they did the commercial, in my opinion. Like I was surprised to see that. And not only did they do that, today I was sitting at work and I was listening to the radio. There was a radio commercial for them. I was like, wow, they're really pushing this. I don't know. It seemed pretty, again, out of left field, I guess. I was really surprised to see that. But anyway, we had the McDonald's Monster Pails. We had Dunkin', who was getting their hands into the Halloween pail milieu, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I actually liked the color of the buckets, and I liked the design. I liked the little the munchkins dressed up in little Halloween gear. I thought it was fun. I went to mine, and it was only at like 3:00, maybe 10 after, right after I got out of work. I went for my bucket, and there was no munchkins. I was like, shit. So are you gonna sell me the bucket still? Yeah, we'll sell you the bucket. It's like, all right. How about 2 of them Spider donuts? We got one. It's like, all right. I guess I'm getting one then. Not really the worst thing to happen because I didn't really need 50 fucking munchkins.
So as you know, I live in the thick and in the heart of Duncan country.
Oh yeah.
So Massachusetts, that's it. We are like home of Duncan, and it took me 2 before I could actually find one. And I went early in the morning on a Friday morning before work with the intention of buying this bucket full of munchkins to bring into work. So the first one I went to, this was supposed to cost like $13 or so from what I had been hearing from other people. The girl rings me up and it comes out to $17. And I'm like, red flag. That's weird.
That's not
Walks
right.
away, comes back, and then asks me if I want the munchkins in it. And I was kind of thinking to myself, well, for $17, you bet your ass I want the munchkins.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Then she turns around, and bear in mind, this is about 8:00 in the morning. And she was like, oh, we really don't have enough munchkins to fill that bucket. And I was like, okay. And then somebody yells to her. She comes back over and she's like, actually, I don't have the buckets to sell you. And I turn around and there's a display of 2 buckets right behind me. And I'm like, well,
They're
can
right
I just
there.
have one of those? And she was like, no. I was like, okay. I was like, well, you can cancel the sale, right? She was like, yes. I was like, thank God I didn't lose $17 just now. So I ended up having to go to a second Dunkin', and while they had both the buckets and enough munchkins, I was a little sad because at the previous Dunkin's that I was at, they didn't have many munchkins, but they did have a few Halloween-specific munchkins where they were kind of rolled in sprinkles that were Halloween-y colors. And this Dunkin's that I ended up at didn't have those. So I ended up with some plain cake ones mixed in with some other varieties, which was a little disappointing. But what I will say I loved about it, it made me get like a little bit of feelings from elementary school, buying a pail of munchkins and bringing them in for my coworkers. It almost felt like an elementary school Halloween party. Because I don't know about you, but that was always the big thing at my school. Somebody always brought munchkins to an elementary school party. So I got those vibes back a little bit with this whole promotion.
That's nice, man. Yeah, no, we didn't have any Dunkins around here until fairly recently, like the last 5 years. So yeah, but the Munchkin Pails, they were cool. I love the color. It's purple. It has some pretty cool Halloween imagery on it with the little Munchkin buddies. I don't have a Timmy's around me, but I see Tim Hortons kind of did the same thing with their little Tim Bits, which are basically Munchkins, and they had their little Halloween bucket for those, and that was cool. I obviously didn't scoop that. Then, I think the last thing I have here is the Pizza Hut thing that was just randomly popped up like this past week. I don't know if they've had this released like at the beginning of the haunting season or what, because I didn't see it until like 2 days ago when someone posted it, and it's this My Haunt box, which has like Dracula's fangs on it or like a vampire's fangs on it or something. I don't even know what the deal is exactly, but
I think what I read is that, yeah, it's a special box and then you get a garlic pizza and then a side.
right.
So it's nothing crazy, but like the box seems to be the main draw for a lot of people. And to be fair, the box is very cool, but I can't see myself going out and getting just that for a Pizza Hut pizza. Ugh.
Relax, Mr. Caesars. Yeah, I contemplated getting this the other day, but we were making soup and other food already, and I was like, I really don't think I could squeeze this in. And I'm like, I'm just buying it so I can write about this fucking box, and is it really worth my time to buy it just so like nobody can read it? Perhaps I'll buy it on Halloween proper this week and just enjoy it and not write about it.
That might be the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should just enjoy it.
Just
And,
enjoy it for
yeah,
myself. So yeah, that was pretty much all the ones that I got a hold of. If I had to say which one I thought won over the season this year, it's coming down to a tie between Wendy's and Burger King.
Even though I never went out and got it, I would almost be okay with you saying Wendy's is the winner, simply because while I love Burger King does exactly what I thought Burger King was going to do.
Yeah.
Wendy's tried something new. They really created a whole new line. That was very commendable. Not often that we see restaurants like that take such a swing to not only hop into Halloween, but to do Halloween without a pre-existing IP like Burger King did with the Addams Family. Wendy's was like, we're going to make these characters from the ground up. It's going to be our version of the Nugget Buddies, and they're all going to be Halloween-centric. That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. They might not have been completely to my taste, but you have to commend them for trying and for doing it so well, too.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is literally the 2024 rendition of a McNugget Buddy, but like in Wendy's playground for the most part. Like I have one here right now, and it's the Dracula one, and I mean this is a really cool toy. They've been doing artwork for them anyways for the past like 3, maybe 4 years in their coupons that you can get to give out for Halloween, and I've been collecting them. I have the last 3 years here. It's really awesome that they decided to make toys of them, and I hope it pushes McDonald's in the right direction. I think it's going to push them for the next couple of years. So cheers to that.
Absolutely. Gotta love the friendly competition on that one.
So we didn't even touch on the actual food that you can buy in grocery stores. And I've got like literally 20 of them here. I'm not going to go through all of them. I will highlight a couple of my personal favorites though, the ones that stuck out to me the most. We got the cereals again this year. That seems to be a pretty big highlight on everyone's list. I thought the gimmick was cool with the Frightful Friends cereal, where they had this pretty much their remix on the Monster Mash cereal that they did the previous 2 years, where it's all of them combined. But this year we got the added bonus of having these marshmallow pets that belong to each monster. They correspond to each one. I think it's cool, but I think they could have won a little bit different.
I don't really care,
No?
if I'm being honest. Mainly because how are you going to top last year with introducing a whole new cereal monster? And furthermore, how are you going to top the year before when they brought back Fruit Brute?
See, that's my thing. Is like, couldn't we just bring Fruit Brute and Yummy? Like that's all they need to do is bring all of them together. Get rid of this big mix of cereal that they've been doing. Because to be realistic, it's just Boo Berry and Frankenberry in one cereal with a bunch of different marshmallows. Like it's nothing crazy. Like I see why they do it. It's obviously cheap to do it. But like, go the extra mile. Give us our boys back. I want to see the whole gang there.
I will admit I have no use for Fruity Yummy Mummy. I just don't. It's not for me. I hate the flavor of it.
See, I've never had it, so I don't know if it's for me or not.
It's an orange cream, and orange cream does absolutely nothing.
Oh, see, I'm a huge fan of orange cream, so I know that this would be up my alley. But like, I just feel so bad for him, man. Our mummy pal just hasn't had any love in the past. Like, man, how long has it even been? Has it been 5, 6 years?
Because no, it's been about 10 years. Because Fruity Yummy Mummy, came back. I don't think they brought Fruity Mummy Yummy back when they did Fruit Brute a couple years ago. I don't think he came back.
No, he did not. No, so he came back for. Oh,
it was like 2014 he came back, I want to say.
Something like that. I know that like one of the DC comic book artists did all of them at one point in time, and I think he was back for that round. But yeah, since then.
That was the year. It was the DC Comics year, and I think that was also the first year that like Target got the retro boxes.
Yeah, right.
I was a sophomore in college, and my friends and I went absolutely crazy over Fruit Brute. I also bought a box of Fruity Yummy Mummy. That's when I learned I didn't like Fruity Yummy Mummy. But yeah, that would have been probably like 2014. So I want to say it's probably been a good 10 years since we've seen him on store shelves.
Right. Okay, but yeah, so the cereals, they came out. They're fine. Carmela Creeper gets her retro style box. I thought that was the big win for me. I feel like that was cool to see that. Moving on from the cereal, we had one that I've been excited about, the Kool-Aid Scary Berry that finally is back and in different packaging. They got that nice orange box with the Kool-Aid Man as he's not Dracula anymore. Apparently, he's just a witch. And I think that's really, really cool. They teased this box like 2-3 years ago and left us hanging. No Kool-Aid from there on out until this year. He makes his triumphant return, gives us this really, really awesome artwork on this box. I really loved the back that had that Kohlenstein. That was what it was.
Kohlenstein. Yeah,
Kohlenstein
I
back.
loved that.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
my favorite part of it. And that's saying a lot because I really did like that Kool-Aid flavor. I thought it was really tasty.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a couple sitting in my fridge right now. I'm kind of saving them because I don't want to get rid of them. I want to savor them.
I actually have both boxes behind me right now, and I only drank one out of them so far, so they've been lasting me pretty good.
I was taking them to work, and I was drinking them at about 3 p.m. Is like I need a hit. I need to take a load off.
I need my fix. Yeah, it's good, man. I'm glad it's back. It's about time. I wish we would have gotten packet form too. That would have been just a little bit better, but I'm more than happy to just have the boxes, the pouches. Happy to see it back on shelves, man. The next one I thought was pretty good was the Ghost Toast Kit Kats. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Kit Kat. I definitely would not say that it beat out the Witch's Brew Kit Kats, but they were pretty good. Did you get to sample these at all this year? No. I was going to say, how much of this stuff really made it your way this year?
I really did not get a whole lot of junk food. I don't know if you're going to mention it or not, but just quickly, for Beetlejuice, the Ernie Fudge Stripe cookies. There was a Beetlejuice specific one that came out. Those never came anywhere near here. I checked multiple stores. I really wanted to try them. I never saw them. These Ghost Toast, I never saw those in person. So would have loved to have tried it, but yeah, nothing anywhere around here.
Well, you didn't really miss out that much on the EL Fudge cookies. They were just fine. They were okay. They didn't really have a lot of flavor to them.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. But I just loved that package in general.
Oh man,
like
so good.
The package art was so good. Ernie as Beetlejuice, or at least in the suit, that's great. So kind of a shame that I didn't at least get to see that in person. But yeah. Oh, well, it is what it is.
While we're on the subject of Beetlejuice, I know everybody's big thing for a little while there was the Haunted Apple from Fanta. Either you were crazy about it or you were crazy upset about it. You either loved it or hated it. And case in point, I kind of loved it, and Derek wasn't kind of all into it. Yeah, I can see what people did not like about it. I don't know. It's just strange. I think it's kind of got a very acquired taste to it, and it doesn't seem like half of the people out there acquired it.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, wasn't for me, but I was still excited to see a Beetlejuice soda. That's fucking nuts. Never in a million years did I think that Beetlejuice would go so hard on merchandising in 2024. Just unbelievable, some of the stuff we were seeing.
Yeah, honestly, I think that was my favorite piece of merchandise too, was like holding a Beetlejuice can of soda in my hand. It's going to look good on a shelf in about 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Or right now.
Right now too, but yeah, absolutely. And I didn't really care about any of the other Fanta flavors that had all the other characters on them. I was not going to go full, Thanos gauntlet and try to collect every one of them. It just wasn't worth the money or the hassle, and I only seen like 2 other ones, and I didn't care about the flavors because they weren't anything different. But I gotta commend them. They did a Halloween thing again. It wasn't a mystery flavor. They tried competing with our next pick here, Voodoo, which we still don't have any idea what it is yet. They never dropped the hint. They never said what it was yet, and that's weird to me because I thought it was like a candy company again this year, and the big thing last year was that they had to say it in between the seasons so that they would obviously get some promotion in there for this candy company.
I think that was our assumption, at least, is that that's why they
Right.
announced it so early last year. But there was such pushback, us included,
Oh yeah, we were
on
pissed.
them announcing it so early that I think that they learned their lesson. And they're like, okay, well, we can't announce it early. Why don't we just hold it until Halloween? I really am feeling like they're going to do that this year. We're going to find out like day of or the night
Halloween.
before
Yeah.
because we're so close to it now. We're recording this on October 28th, and we have no leads right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty cool if they actually did hold it until the big day. I mean, I think that would be great, honestly. Now, on this flavor in general, I could have drank more of the Mountain Dew Voodoo than I did. I just kind of chose not to. Like, it wasn't so offensive that I couldn't have made it through a full bottle, but I also wasn't feeling compelled to drink more than my first few sips. I didn't love it. I think you kind of thought it was pretty
Oh
good.
yeah.
Is that
I'm
right?
into it. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely strawberry something. I'm sticking with strawberry starburst, even though they technically did kind of a starbursty flavor before, but I think that was like more on the red side than the strawberry one. I did kind of look around and see what other people were saying about it finally today, since I was kind of trying to figure out if they unleashed the flavor and everything, but they didn't, and a lot of people were saying the same thing, strawberry starburst. So my guess is still locked in. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't buy a lot of it like I typically do. I only bought the sugar-free version, and that was it. I didn't buy the regular version yet. I didn't buy any of the cans, which I kind of hate myself for because I collect the cans as well as the bottles. It is what it is, man. A big year for drink stuff, I guess. We had the Kool-Aid, we had the Voodoo, we had Fanta, and there is a Faygo drink out there right now that I still have not found. It's the Jolly Green Apple. This was supposed to be out late September, but we carry some Faygo flavors around this area, but the limited edition ones, they usually don't come around here for some reason. There's one store that gets them, and I have yet to go there, so
I don't get any Faygo around
no
here at
Faygo.
all. So no,
Oh.
we don't get it. So I don't get to try it. I get to try Faygo once in my life. Somebody was kind enough a few years ago to send us cotton candy flavored Faygo.
Oh, dude.
And it was really good and
So
really
good.
tasty. But yeah, that's the only time I've ever actually gotten to try one of those.
Bummer. Well, moving on here, the Reese's Werewolf tracks. I thought those were pretty good. Get those ones by chance?
I did. I actually
Yeah.
did find those and I tried them and they were good. I'm not gonna say they weren't good. I did enjoy them. I do still think it's a little bit of a loss to lose Franken cups to those. I kind of felt like the werewolf tracks were a little bit of a downgrade, if I'm being honest. They weren't bad, but compared to Franken cups, I did think that we lost something. And I did see somebody else on Twitter talking about how they think that this is either leftover Easter candy or it's going to be Easter candy
For
this
the
coming
following year.
Yeah,
Dude,
like,
totally.
rabbit tails or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I could see that actually.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it felt weird. It felt kind of off. The only thing I can try to reason with it being werewolf is that like the top is white and maybe it looks like a moon.
Yeah, the most logical explanation I could see is the full moon. And I mean, I would really like the flavor of them. I was surprised that it was that much different from a regular Reese's. It's not so different that it becomes something else, but it's just like enough to make its point across. And I thought they were really good.
Yeah, they were good. They were tasty. Just
Yeah.
apply that flavor to Franken cups next year and we'll be back on the right track.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I missed the green top. I thought that was a really cool
Exactly.
little thing
It's
that
classic.
they did there.
It's a great gimmick.
Don't fucking fix something if it ain't broken. Okay, one other one was the Wednesday Gushers, the Blueberry Grape Despair Gushers. They finally just hit my Walmart like yesterday.
Wow.
Luckily enough, Louis was kind enough to send me his box of them because he wasn't going to eat the whole box. I probably will because they're that good.
Well, hey, Gushers are great. They're classic. You can't go wrong with a Gusher, no matter whatever the promo might be.
Yeah, dude, it's been so long since I actually had Gushers too, up until that point, and it's every bit of good that I remember them being. They're such a fun candy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you call them a candy because growing up, it never registered to me that it is candy. To me, it like got lumped in with the gummies, which to
Yeah,
me were a lunchbox
a
snack.
lunchbox
That was
thing.
like, you eat them at lunch, you don't eat them as candy. But I've had Gushers as an adult. I'm like, yeah, that is candy. There is a clear difference between a lunchbox fruit snack and a Gusher,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're so much better for it.
But other than that, I'm going to do a couple of small shout outs here without going into too much detail because they're cool and I liked them. I think just two of them will do it, and that would be the Brock's Mellow Cream Autumn Leaves. I thought those were awesome. Feels like they finally hit the nail on the head this year. There wasn't any weird summery flavors mixed in with this supposed fall
Mm-hmm.
festival thing.
Yep.
Kind of weird, but yeah, I think the autumn leaves are really cool. And then finally, the Hostess Franken cakes I thought were
God
just
bless. Amen.
amazing, right?
I'm so glad you brought him up. I was like, is he gonna bring him up or did he forget? No, you did. I'm gonna obviously these episodes sort of act as a time capsule. So yeah, it might seem like we're droning on or it's going quite long, but the whole purpose is not only for you guys to get an episode, but for us to be able to listen back to ourselves and find out what we got, what we ate, what we did in Halloween's past. So this one is for me. The Franken cakes, they're great cakes. All right. I know there was a lot of people bitching this year. They were like, oh, they should have made the swirl black. They should have done this. They should have done that. I don't care. I just love how simple the rebrand was.
Yeah,
Scary cakes to Franken cakes. And scary cakes were still around.
right.
Those were the chocolate versions. Franken cakes were vanilla.
Yeah.
Okay. I had an extra empty candy bucket. And I didn't know what to do with it. So I actually I sent you this picture, Grimey.
Oh yeah.
I put it in my front foyer. So before you even enter my house, there is a candy bucket that was full of a mixture of Franken cakes and scary cakes. And I said to you, do you ever just have those tough days where you need something to take the edge off before you even walk in the door?
Oh yeah, man.
And so for some people, it's a drink or a cigarette or a hit off a vape or whatever. For me this year, this Halloween season, it was a pile of Franken cakes. And boy, I did have some tough days. And man, I got to tell you, nothing quite hits the way that a Hostess snack cake before your front door does. It's just waiting for you. That warm, sweet goodness, just like, all right, I'll take away the pain of the world for 30 seconds that it takes to eat these.
I love the evolution of the monster cake. Like we've seen so many of them, and while the artwork isn't as cool and extravagant as it used to be back in the '90s, it's still very much appreciated. It was cool to see them do something different because scary cakes have been
Yep.
around for the past I don't know 5, 6, 7 years probably, and they're awesome. But it's cool to have some variety. So.
Yeah.
A really cool
Definitely.
green top, vanilla cake. There's a little white squiggle.
I love Hostess cakes, specifically the cupcakes, but they hit a specific way at Halloween. That is like really the only time I go out of my way to buy them for myself. And this was just a great spin on that and very welcome. And I hope to see him again next year. Or I even challenge Hostess, if you want to continue iterating on it, give us a werewolf cake, give us a vampire cake, give us a mummy cake. That could be interesting. Do something.
Yeah.
We're here
Keep
for
it
it. I
going.
love the little iterations. Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent idea. Thought that was awesome. And lastly, I have to shout these out because I gave them a solid 10 out of 10 score. The motherfucking spooky nerds gummy clusters. Man, if you guys ain't eating gummy clusters, you're missing out because they are the end all be all way of consuming nerds. They're just so amazing. And to put a spooky kind of spin on them for Halloween, epic.
I always loved the nerds ropes from the time I was a kid right up to now, and
Oh,
it
so you
became
kind of
kind of a
already.
tradition. Yeah, it kind of became a tradition where I would expect a nerds rope in my stocking.
Right.
So once they came out, like straight through my high school years, and even some years as an adult, my parents have made sure that I get a nerds rope in my stocking. And yeah, gummy clusters are basically just the miniature poppable version of that. So they're all great, fantastic. I love it.
Absolutely. Anyways, why don't we get into some of the haunted attractions that we might have got into this year?
Here are my haunted events, just too quickly. These are both local, and they're both put on by local clubs. So I got out to the Century Sportsman's Hayride. That was my second year doing that. Dan from Danarchy, who is active in our Facebook group,
Shout
and
out.
he's got a blog of his own. He has a whole ranking of Halloween haunts and places to see in the New England area, and so I used that as my little guide between last year and this year. So this was recommended to me by him. I checked it out last year. I loved it. It's just a small little sportsman's club. So I kind of told you about this last year,
I was
Grimey,
gonna say
but
this is the place with the old walls. You could tell people have
yeah,
been smoking cigarettes in there for like years.
exactly.
Yeah. Very homey
Yeah,
place.
just a small like little lodge, and same as last year. There's a fire going in the lodge, if I remember correctly. They've got a projector going, and they were playing I think Casper on the projector this year when I
Hell
walked
yeah.
in. A bar where you can buy your imported beers, and then outside they've got the standard state fair foods going that you can buy and eat while you're waiting in line. Then you hop on, you go through the hayride. This year was actually better than last year. They definitely iterated on it and got a little bit better. Some new stuff, great layout. So it's community based. It's cheesy, but it's fun, and it's worth my $20 or whatever it costs to get in. So I did that, and I also did the Grafton Lions Club hayride. I could not believe the amount of kids that were in this line, middle and high school kids, and man, did it feel like I was back in high school, and I did not like that.
No. Yeah, it's an eye opener for sure.
Yeah, I felt like all the popular kids, and I was right back, 10 plus years ago. Just
the fuck is this
awkward, not knowing
Yeah.
what to do with myself while I waited for the tractor to pull up. But this one was cool. Everything was made by hand. Their whole theme at this one going through was just board games, like creepy or killer board games. So, there was like, I don't remember. I think it was called like the Candyland Massacre was one section.
Oh, nice.
So they made big pieces from Candyland, and kids came out dressed like the characters, and they were like coming after you to kill you, and blah blah blah. We had a few different ones like that. Then at one point they did go into video games, so there was like a killer Pac-Man. So this kid had made his own Pac-Man costume with like these sharp fangs, and just ran over and was eating the ghosts who screamed in pain, which was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, just two small little local things this year instead of something big like Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. We had talked initially maybe through the idea around about getting out to the Six Flags Great Adventure to check out their haunt this year, because they were supposed to be going big with it. But we never ended up doing that, you and I, which I think that's fine. It's probably
worked out for the best, let me tell you, because supposedly it was canceled like last minute. They had to like postpone it for like a week or two or something. I don't exactly remember the whole story, but yeah, so it wouldn't have worked out in our favor if we would have went opening day like we would have gone. So, I don't know. Karma was in our favor this year, I guess.
It was, I guess, yeah. So, yeah, that's really all I did for actual haunted stuff. I did round 2 of what I did last year as well, which was using Fright Maps, which is an app to help you find people's home decorations and yard haunts. I set myself up some routes, and we went out, and I just saw a lot of local decorations and stuff like that, and made sure to take pictures and take notes so that I know where to go next year. But the two big things that I did early on at the beginning of September that I thought were really notable that I would definitely do again. Again, these are all in Massachusetts. So the first thing that I did was called the Spooktastic Book Fair. And that was really, really cool. This took place at a library. out in Framingham, Massachusetts. And there were something crazy, like 50 authors there. Most of them were independently published and just all selling their horror or spooky books. There were some authors who were writing kids, horror books. So there was just a lot to see, a lot of people to meet. They had some great vendors. I ended up meeting and getting a copy of the book by Aaron Beauregard signed and dedicated to me, a copy of his book called Playground. And when he handed me the book after I paid for it, he said, "Don't hate me too much. It is gross. It's disgusting. It's fucking vile." I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I was reading because I'm kind of, a jaded horror fan. I've seen it all, right? I've heard it all. And
Oh, yeah.
in the first 50 pages of this book, my jaw dropped and I could not believe the things that were on the page in front of me. And I was like, damn, he really did it. He really shocked me. So if you're looking for just a fucked up read, if you're a reader, Playground by Aaron Beauregard is worth your time, and you will absolutely be shocked like I was. I also met a small coffee roaster and bought some of their coffee, which was absolutely excellent. They were called Doomed Coffee Co. Great beans from them. As you may or may not know, I'm a big coffee guy. I've really been getting into it the past few years, and these were exceptional. They were like the freshest beans I've ever had in my life. Literally roasted 2 days before I bought them. That's unheard of.
That's awesome, man.
Incredible. And to go along with my coffee addiction, I bought a print from this artist. He was going by Taft Street Studios. So I met some cool people, cool artists at that event, and I will definitely check that out again if it's happening again next year. That was fun. And talking about fun, I think the most fun I had anywhere this year was for the first time ever, and this is not clouding my judgment, I promise you, I was granted a press pass, which was huge. That Leftover Pizza is at a point where people are thinking that we're okay enough to be granted entry to
just okay
events.
enough,
So I want to shout out the Silver Scream Con 3, and that was put on by the band Ice Nine Kills. Reached out to them. They got me a press pass, which was fantastic. And this is a horror convention that ended up this year being hosted in my hometown at the arena where all of the horror conventions of my youth and teen years used to be held. And it's been years since anything's happened or been there. And this really just was great. It felt like I got to sort of relive like my middle school years again. I rounded up my uncle. He came with me. So it really felt like, 7th grade, getting to walk around, all the celebrities who were there, all the vendors. And I got to just meet up with some mutuals and some friends and meet some new people. Attend some panels, which was great. I got to see the 25th anniversary of Idle Hands.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was absolutely something else. They got Devin Sawa there and Eldon Henson to show up and do a panel all about Idle Hands, which was crazy. And then they got a bunch of folks to do a Halloween panel as well. So Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney, 2 different Michael Myers, and they got PJ Souls to show up, and John Michael Graham, the guy who was Bob, in the original movie with the glasses and the ghost who gets killed. So that was a blast to see, and like I had mentioned quickly, I'm just going to give a couple more shout outs. Some people that I met up with and other vendors who are worth your time checking out what they do. I met and bought a copy of Bone Chillers on VHS from Weirdo Wonderland. I met up with JR of JR's Spooky Shack, which is a local small little horror shop around here. John Campopiano, director, filmmaker extraordinaire. We shared a beer. That was great. I got to kind of pick his brain about making movies. So it was great meeting him. Brain Dead Customs. They make some great pins. The McMurder buddies, the little McNugget buddies I showed you before. So I got to talk with them, meet up with them. That was great. Somebody that I bugged years and years and years ago before we even started Dem Boys, when I wanted to learn how to make t-shirts and pins, I used to bug Shane from Theater of Creeps and say, how do you do that? How do I do that? Where do I go? And he was very kind and very helpful. I got to reconnect with him a little bit and, see what he was up to. Theater of Creeps, he makes a lot of art and shirts and posters, a lot of cool stuff. And then I also met for the first time a candle maker. They had a lot of spooky scents and they all smelled excellent. The folks at Modern Wick Craft. That's all my plugging for this episode. I think that's all I have to plug. But yeah, that was a big important part. Oh, and Broke Horror Fan. He's if you're on Twitter and horror Twitter, you've with no doubt seen him. Or if you've ever read, I think it's Bloody Disgusting. He writes up there, Alex. So I got to meet him in person as well. So there's a lot of people this year that I got to meet, and Silver Scream Con was big for that. So that was really cool for me. Got to meet a lot of people, see a lot of things, learn a lot of stuff from people in the horror industry. Very cool time. And I want Grimey to come next year.
Hopefully we can make that happen because, man, that would be a lot of fun. It's just nice to see all these people that we already basically, it's like going through Instagram, but in real life. That thing we used to do back in the day, connect with people and hang out with them in real time, like in real life. Yeah, that would be fun. And put some faces to the names that you already see all over the place. And that was me last year for the Mahoning for like a very small percentage. It sounds like you got the big picture on this one. So, yeah, man.
Got to meet a lot of people and connect with a lot of people. And that was probably my highlight of this Halloween season. In years past, it's been movies or going to Halloween Horror Nights. This year, it was Silver Scream Con 3 and just meeting a lot of mutuals in person and getting to know them a little bit. Just at least, put a face to the name. And, yeah, it was fun. It was exciting. And I hope to get to do it again next year if they're around. So, folks at Silver Scream Con, if you're listening, thank you. And I will take another pass, please, next year.
Double or nothing. So I didn't really get to do too much of that kind of stuff this year. We just ran out of time. But I did get to at least do a local thing here that they've been doing, I think, for the last 3 or 4 years. There's a park that's up the hill from me. It's called Benzinger Park, a park that I used to play at all the time when I was a very young kid. They do this haunted forest walkthrough. It's called the Haunted Forest of Benzinger. So I finally got to go there. First time I ever went. It was a long wait, a longer wait than I anticipated for a small town like this. It was a whole hour wait. I mean, it was worth the $5 to get in, though. Me, my girlfriend, and a couple of work friends, we all, on a whim, I was like, I think I'm going to go Friday night, and I'm just going to tell Michaela, like, I'm just going to go for a walk. We're going to go for a walk, and we're going to do it up in Benzinger, where it's like the haunted forest. She's like, oh, yeah, we can do that, totally. Like, great, let's do it. And then I text my buddies from work, which I rarely ever do, and I was like, hey, you want to actually go to that fucking haunted walkthrough? And they're like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, holy shit, they actually want to go. Let's do this. So we did that. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty long, longer than I anticipated. There was some Wizard of Oz kind of inspired stuff in there. Also some Alice in Wonderland kind of stuff. I don't know if it was supposed to be The Little Mermaid or not. I just figured since it was kind of like a Disney kind of fairy tale kind of theme, it might have been The Little Mermaid, but there was like a boat. And I don't know if you've seen them big blown up tentacles that have been going around this year. So someone did those around this boat that was made out of pallets, and it was very believable. It looked really cool.
Cool.
And whoever did it, they have a shop downtown. It's called Tablespoons. They, after the haunt was done, they actually attached them to their building, which is really, really fancy looking and beautiful. But they had like a whole underwater theme. They had the tentacles. They had the deep sea diver guy from Lowe's and like a couple of pirate skeletons in the front windows. I'll send you a picture. Maybe I'll post it on Instagram and we'll be able to see it. Yeah, it was a good walkthrough. It was a fun time. My girlfriend disappeared within like a minute of the haunt and just ran full force ahead of me, and I was like, fuck. But we had fun. It was a lot of fun. Everybody did a really good job. I was hoping that maybe, because I used to help with the one that's like close to me. I haven't helped in a couple of years. Maybe I'll get in contact with these guys to see if I can put my 2 cents into it next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that was the only thing I really got to do this year. So I think we can move on to a couple of small things before we end this. I got one little thing for the decor, and that was, I think, the biggest thing this year, pun intended, was the Costco groundbreaking skeleton. That was kind of something that I saw early on in the haunting season, and it kind of blew my fucking mind a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, seeing this monstrous thing, I seen one person actually had it in their house and like was just showing the sheer size of it, and it is just massive, like way more massive than I anticipated it being. And then when I saw it in person, I was like, oh wow, like it's even bigger in person.
It is big. I've seen a couple in person at a couple of the different displays that I've visited. It's definitely cool. I think I definitely prefer it to the, now
12-foot
sort
skeleton.
of tired 12-foot skeleton.
Oh my God.
I wasn't really even on board with the 12-foot skeleton, but now that it seems like it's in every other person's yard,
Dude.
I really am sick of it.
Most people around here, if they have one, they have two, or they have that and they have the giant dog. There's a house here that has 5, and I was like, okay, it's nonsense now. It's not cool anymore. You've had their time in the spotlight, 12-foot skeleton, like, get out of here.
Exactly. So I will say I do like the giant groundbreaker a lot more than I like the standard giant. But what I really like is I've actually seen a few people now corpse the giant groundbreaker skeleton, and I just think that looks fantastic. It was made to be dirtied up and look like it's covered in dirt and moss and grass, and look like it's actually breaking out of the ground. So I love when I've seen people take a little extra effort just to customize it a little bit. It looks fantastic.
Hell yeah. Didn't you you got your hands on some pretty awesome decor towards the end of this season here, didn't you?
I did. So at the very, very beginning of the season, like end of July or beginning of August, whenever it was, Lowe's announced that they were doing more Haunted Mansion stuff because they've been getting a little bit more and a little bit more over the past couple of years. And if you'll remember, back when we first started the show, that was one of our earliest shows. It was something like Halloween things that don't exist but should.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my biggest wants and wishes was like, why doesn't Spirit Halloween put out Haunted Mansion stuff? Give me animatronics, give me tombstones, give me anything. I want it, and I want it at home. Well, I put it out into the universe, and they're finally giving it to me. So this year, Lowe's did the Groundskeeper, which that I never saw. Like, that sold out so fast. I don't even know that it made it to stores. But they did some new tombstones, that matched the tombstones in Disney World and Disneyland, both from the regular cemetery side outdoors and from the pet cemetery. And the thing that I got my eyes on and I was absolutely drooling over was they released the Knight. And if I remember correctly, the Knight, I want to say he's in the graveyard scene. But he could also exist in the ballroom scene. I do think that it's in the graveyard scene, though. But he's just one of these not super well known or often thought about characters from the Haunted Mansion. Whenever anybody thinks about the Haunted Mansion, your brain goes to the 3 Hitchhiking Ghosts. You go to Constance the Bride in the attic. So this is kind of like a B tier character, and I think that works in its benefit. So anyways, I was super impressed that they were bringing him out to purchase. And then I saw the $300 price tag, and I said, "There's not a chance in hell that I'm spending that
Yeah.
money on
Oh my
this."
God. They all look great
just-
too. Like, but you hesitate to really throw that much at it. It's like, do I need
Yeah.
this that much?
And then I got a tip the other day that Lowe's was starting their 50% off Halloween sale.
Yeah.
And I went on a whim one night after work, and I lucked out. They had a few left. I actually got my hands on one, got to add them to my cemetery, Derek's Dead End Drive, which I named this year, by the way, for the first time ever.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yep. Named it and gave it a logo. But yeah, for a whopping $75, I got my hands on the Haunted Mansion night. So I was finally, after years and years of wanting, begging, and pleading, able to get my hands on an official piece of the Haunted Mansion and take it home with me. And now he's sitting in my cemetery, and he's
So
beautiful. He turns on. He's motion sensor activated, so when he goes off, his eyes light up, and he starts singing part of the Swinging Wake tune. Fantastic. I love him. I could not be more in love with the product, I swear. So that was my big Halloween purchase of the year, but I don't have much left. Do you have much left to mention? I have just a couple like rapid fire things.
Oh, what do you got? Go ahead. Throw them out there.
So I literally have things that came out this Halloween season. So on top of my night, I forgot totally that I had pre-ordered the talking Krusty doll. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Hell yeah.
I believe it was Kid Robot put that out. So you can see he's sitting behind me back there. He's beautiful. He's fantastic. The box is screen accurate, so they drew it to look exactly like it does in the Treehouse of Horror episode. I haven't taken him out of the package yet, but I have seen other people, and he does have the good and evil switch on the back.
Oh, no shit.
Yep, it's
man.
there. I guess
So
it's
cool.
Not functional. There was one in the early 2000s that they made as well, and that actually was functional. It did change his speech, his phrases from evil to good.
Oh, really?
This one,
I wasn't
guess,
aware
doesn't
that
do
they did all that.
Yeah, I guess this one doesn't do that, but I kind of don't care. Like, I have my hands on one.
Yeah,
That's all I
it's
care
fine.
about.
Mm-hmm.
I finally finished up, speaking of Treehouse of Horror, they released the third and what I believe is final book in the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror omnibus. So the past couple Halloweens now, they've put those out. So I think I completed the set there on those. And my final thing that I picked up that I'm really excited about, I thought this was really cool. I mentioned him earlier, well, these two folks earlier in the Silver Scream Con portion, but Theater of Creeps was asked and approached to do a custom cover for the Svengoolie 45th anniversary Halloween Bonanza comic, and it's released specifically and only through JR's Spooky Shack. So I did get out, and I did get I will brag here, the first copy of this Svengoolie comic in this particular variant, because I showed up to buy it and it was not in store yet, and they were so kind to actually run down the street to their storage, pull it out of storage, crack open the case of comic books, and I got the first bagged and boarded Svengoolie 45th anniversary Halloween comic. So
Nice.
Great. Just one of the best purchases I made this year. So
yeah, it's a
that's
really
it. Those are
awesome
my couple
cover
of
too.
things.
Like such a good
It's
cover.
really good.
I saw the artwork for it like just a few days before you mentioned, because you were gonna try to get me one, but you had to be there, and it was what, one per customer kind of thing, right?
It was I couldn't buy one there for you that day and have it shipped. We would have had to have bought it online for it to ship, just because they didn't have their whole system worked out yet, which is understandable. Small business, small shop, and he's been busy all season. So
yeah, but it's a really awesome cover, man. I seen it, and I'm not even like, not that I disliked Svengoolie by any means, but I'm not like the biggest Svengoolie fan. I don't really know a ton about him because I haven't watched a lot about him, but like I seen it and I was like, I think I kind of need this, and I almost ordered it, and it was close, man.
Well, it's I think it's still up there, maybe, if you consider it. Maybe it's a Halloween Day gift to yourself.
Might be.
You walked away at Lowe's, so now you get to treat yourself with this instead.
So yeah, real quick to close it out here, we'll talk just a tiny bit on the podcast for the season. It's obviously been a very, very wild season for the podcast. Man, 4 shows, 4 like pretty big shows. I feel like I just insane. One Halloween recap, just keeping up with the tradition that we started last year. I feel like it went pretty well. I don't know how we pulled it off, but we did. We may have lost maybe 1 or 2 nights of sleep over a couple of things, but like, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun shows. Friday Night Frights, as an idea, it seemed fun, and then it seemed really intimidating, and then it went back to being fun.
Yeah.
And then it just was like, I don't even know. It just insane. I can't believe that we like decided to take that whole idea on and do it, and then we actually did it. Like,
yeah,
just I can't even put the words to it. It definitely the most ambitious thing that we've ever done, and some of the like best creative work, not to toot our own horns, but I think that we've ever done. The Kid Horror Show was great. That was a great sequel, and I think we had some really great picks in that one.
Oh, yeah.
And I can definitely see that being like one of our classic episodes. The Halloween commercials episode, I loved the format of that, and some of the things that we picked were great. Even if I did get the whole Love Island fantasy thing wrong, and people yelled at me.
Oh
for
man,
it.
that was the thing that just kept going for a long time. Listen,
did.
We're not experts. We make mistakes too. It is what it is.
Oh my god, we sure do. And then the Halloween time traveling episode, boy, that I loved how that one turned out. That was really
a lot of fun.
And the ending, we wrote that on the fly because we were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we wrote a whole script, and then we got to the end, and you're like, we never wrote an ending for this, did we? And I'm like, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you might have been able to tell that from listening, or maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Insane.
For sure. I give props to anybody who does this shit on the weekly, because man, is it insane, like the work that went into doing all of this, but somehow we did it. This is also the website's first Halloween, which I feel like did well enough. I got quite a few things up there, not near as many as I had anticipated. I think I did like 1 vlog post, which was like kind of meh, but like I set myself up, and I actually say this in that article that like I was going to do. I had like 10 to like 20 ideas on paper, and I think I could have got away with doing like 2 of them. It's I don't
tough.
know.
I mean, we committed to such a heavy workload for the podcast, and you with social media, just absolutely rocking that with your your photos of your collection and everything that you've kind of amassed over the year, specifically for this.
Yeah.
And the Halloween, I mean, don't forget too, you did your Halloween boxes again, and this time you actually
boxes.
made the wax melts on your own. So everybody who's listening right now, if you managed to pick up a box, I don't know if it was clear or not, but Grimey actually made those wax melts by himself.
Yeah, the wax. I made the labels and everything. Everything all in house. Well, I designed the labels. I didn't print them out. Someone else printed them out for me. They did the heavy lifting, But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was an adventure. I'll let you in on a little secret. I fucked them all up the first time and had to redo them. Yeah.
And that's what his family's getting for Christmas this year. Stuffed in all their stockings. The reject wax melts.
Yeah. Originally the theme was a yard haunt, and we called it the Yard Haunt Hangs, and the most important ingredient was like something that smelled kind of like ozone and dirt, which is this petrichor, I believe the scent was called. Mm-hmm. I didn't really do my research on that scent. Yeah, apparently some people will only use like a drop to enhance different scents in like a batch that I did in bigger. I used 2 ounces, and it was just like, It's so overpowered. It stunk so bad. I mean, it stunk my house up, and I got like sick from smelling it. I was like, I can't. I can't give this out. It's not going to happen. I was like, I'm not happy with it. I don't expect anyone else to be happy with it. I was like, nope, I'm starting over. And I mean, I went directly onto the website, whatever it was, at like Candle Science or whatever, and I ordered some completely new shit, had it shipped to me, and it was done within a week. I don't know how I pulled that off, but the things I go through for our fans.
Yeah, really. And I guess this is going to be the last thing of the things we go through for, well, I guess it's for our fans, but also for ourselves.
For us, yeah, yeah.
This one was really just like making, I don't know about you, but making Derek's dream come true. The whole Drax Bash 2024, we had the idea at the end of the summer, like, what if we actually got Shaggy and Scooby on the Halloween special and we spent quite a bit of money and put a lot of effort into writing a script and tweaking and perfecting a script, finding a voice actor, working with him, being absolutely blown away by what he was able to turn out. Just talk about a dream project. Like little Derek, who is having his dad rip the cable out of the wall for watching Scooby-Doo, getting to talk with Scooby-Doo on an episode is just unbelievable, like a dream come true. So that's the highlight of my year. That episode right there.
Yeah, and it all came together because of dumb luck in a way. Because the show actually was formed on a misunderstanding. Because we did the Scooby Show this year.
Yep.
It was a Bites episode, and we originally thought about having them kind of in that episode. But what I was communicating was, what if we did like some kind of crazy thing for like the Monster Bash, for the Halloween Bash? And I think there was a kind of a miscommunication, a misunderstanding there. And then later I brought it to you again. I was like, I think we're going to scrap this and we're going to do this. And you're like, wait, what? I thought we were doing it for this. I was like, oh, no. We're going to do it for the Monster Bash. And you're like, oh, that kind of sounds like a really good idea. And we worked it a little bit. Derek found the perfect guy for it. Mr. Eric Harthen Voices on Instagram. I believe the handle is Eric Harthen Voiceovers. Yeah, he did an excellent job. Way better than I could have ever expected. Like, I knew he was going to do good. I did not expect him to knock it completely out of the park, but he did a perfect Scooby and Shaggy, both of them. I mean, just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Truly, like, made a dream come true. Helped us make what I think is like probably the best episode of the show that we've ever done. I don't know how we're going to top that going forward.
I have no idea.
I just don't know. How do you top Scooby-Doo and Shaggy being on an episode with you? But yeah, really big thanks to Eric. I sent it early, the episode, over to Zach, our friend, the other dem boy. And his first reaction after listening was, whatever you paid that guy, it was worth every penny. And I was like, yes, it was. So yeah. If you're listening and you're ever looking to hire somebody to do voices, start there, because he was fantastic. Great to work with and just amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That I would say that was probably my favorite show to do this season. Did the time travel. Time travel was a lot of fun.
And don't forget, we introduced Leftover Pizza Video this Halloween season.
We did. That was this.
As
yeah,
shows.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Watched The Dead Hate the Living, The Dead Hate the Living,
Monster Dead Hate the Living,
the movie,
Monster Mash. Oh my god,
Beetleborgs, and then we also introduced Leftover Pizza Bites as well. So we did the Halloween Build-A-Meal episode.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell else did we do? Jesus Christ!
I know, it seems like such a blur at this point. Let me
a lot. We did a
here.
lot. That's what it boils down to.
The pizza show. That one was kind of out of left field, but we hit our 50th anniversary episode, man. We had to do something kind of out of left field for that, I feel like. And pizza, it seemed like the most logical explanation. So,
yeah, I mean, can you believe it? I forgot that we did a 50th proper episode. Like, that's how crazy the season was. We did a Scooby-Doo show starring Scooby-Doo, and we forgot totally that like the 50th episode was also in there too. So yeah. Just totally a jam-packed season, jam-packed past few months. I am totally beat. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
You must be doubly beat.
Yeah, I'm definitely there too. Can't say that we won't do it again, but it won't happen for Christmas or anything like that. If we do this again, it will be exactly a year from now for Halloween.
And things are probably gonna change a little bit because I don't know that we can keep up that workload.
Oh my God. So. Yeah. Insane.
Friday Night Frights may return, but maybe not in the same form that it took this year. This was truly like a labor of love and just like the most effort I think I've ever poured into any project I've ever done. And I hope it was worth it. I do, because I think it was worth it, but I hope everybody listening at home, all the members on the Facebook group, and everybody who follows us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, I hope you think that it was worth it and you had as much fun as we did, because while it was a lot of work, it was a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. Yep. That's the 2024 Halloween season. So whether you are putting your trick-or-treat handout together or you're handing out candy right this second, or maybe you caught us a week later and you're doing some little hand-traced turkeys or whatever your thing is right now, I'm glad you're listening to us, and I hope that you'll be listening to us for the holiday season because we got some things planned for that as well. It's been a blast, man. I hope every one of you guys has a really, really awesome Halloween. I hope that you will be with us for many more to come. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked you at the beginning, and I'll ask you again. Now that we've gone over all of this, 2+ hours, what did you think of 2024's Halloween season?
It was crazy and hectic. Just like it was, man. But absolutely just entertaining, very fun.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'd have to say the same thing and add in creatively fulfilling. It feels like my brain has been scratched and itched in all the right places, and I feel like I've gotten all of my creativity and need to create and make things out of my system for the right now. So while we're going to keep doing episodes and keep going on and doing everything, I feel like insanely creatively fulfilled, and I think it was just a total success just because of that. So Halloween, both for leftover pizza and just in my own personal life, 2024 very good to us. A lot of great junk food, a lot of great movies, even though I wasn't expecting there to be a lot of great movies. And I got a Haunted Mansion figure. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. That would have made it the best Halloween in 10 years alone, but everything else, yeah, good year, good season.
Absolutely. And with that, I think that is all the time we have for today. This has been a long one. We appreciate you joining us for the entire ride if you made it this far. Thanks again for listening. Happy Halloween.
Now Derek has to go slumber for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got to get prepped for the next 2 big holidays. They're going to be a blast for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even worried about that. I mean, I'm literally going to go sleep for 2 weeks. So you call me in 2 weeks and you tell me what we're doing for Thanksgiving. Okay, Grimey?
Sounds good. So with that, we'll catch you in the next one.
Gobble, gobble.